Ah, yes. The age-old question, who would win, Red Flash or my character? Actually, that's not really an age-old question, but whatever. Welcome back to another video, guys. Today, I'm going to be doing a logical analysis on who would win, my character or Red Flash. So, this is a debate that seems pretty even until you actually think about it. Because the answer is pretty obvious. My character is going to... He's going to punch this man into the ground. Red Flash does not even stand a chance. However, we will be going over the specifics because I like to use logic and I am a nerd. And if you are a nerd, this is probably the perfect video for you. Especially if you like Red Flash or my character or whatever. I don't know. Just watch it and subscribe. Okay, so we're gonna start with base forms. So my character's base form, pretty boring overall. This is probably more even. So we're talking about like no powers, nothing. So Red Flash, we're just gonna say bro can pull out those two little red swords and his big sword. Whereas I have a trident and a netherite sword. So obviously, this guy has cool swords and all that. They're probably going to be made of a stronger material than what my weapons are made of. So if we were equally matched, his materials would outlast mine. And I'm guessing the only chance of something breaking is really if he brings that... Oh my word, stop. Is if he brings that claymore down on my trident really, really hard. Where was I? So really, that's the only thing at risk, the trident. Then, so yeah, at first it's kind of pretty obvious who would win this. It looks like Red Flash would win. That's until you take into account that both the weapons that I use in base phase are kind of enchanted and modified. So yeah, the sword has basically has fire aspects, but like way cooler. Basically just that. Because why not? It's a cool little upgrade. I can like wield a cool flaming sword. Yay! I don't think the netherite sword's really at risk at all. I think it's a little bit too strong for I think it's too strong for the red small ones, and too small for the big one to actually do damage to it, as well as too resilient. This sword probably has the advantage over his two little red swords because... well, it's fiery. It'll burn him if he's not careful. But what's really OP is the trident, because this trident is special because I got the ability to pull it to me, pull myself to it. It's got a whole array of lightning abilities. You can summon lightning. I can summon lightning onto it, which will basically cause a shockwave. I can knock him away from me. I can hurl it and basically use the lightning to shockwave it. And I can even make it like rotate around. Basically all those abilities that Ethan Enemy's Technoblade has with his trident, except significantly more powerful. Because just because. So yeah. Honestly, that really pretty much makes it an easy dub for my character in base phases. If we're talking about normal base phase, but really that I basically it's like I have two base phases. You could say I have a third base phase, but that isn't really base phase. And that just makes it way too unfair. So yeah, my character would just destroy Red Flash in base phase. Now, first form. My character's first form versus Red Flash's first form. So, we see Red Flash use a fair few abilities in first form. I'm pretty sure he just has all of his abilities. I don't know. He's cool, okay? This guy is literally capable of doing shockwaves, flying, summoning swords, creating portals, shields, healing himself. Like, this guy has got some crazy shenanigans going on from first form already. Like, this guy ain't no joke. Not even his first form's a joke. He's already pretty strong. Of course, my first form, while I wouldn't really think of it kind of like that, but my first form ain't a joke either. I like that. I get a cool sword too. Well, you don't actually see the cool sword because I haven't made an actually good thing of it. So it's basically just a purple sword right now. So yeah. But whatever, I have a sword, it's indestructible, but the main thing about it is I can teleport it to me, and I can teleport to it. The thing is, I can abuse the teleporting ability to basically teleport at unlimited levels of speed. This pretty much allows me to trump anyone who does not have a teleport ability, aka Red Flash. Yes, this is completely unfair, I know. This means I could quite literally, basically, insta-kill Red Flash if I wished to. That's a little bit... No, that's not even a little bit. That's way too overpowered and completely unfair. So let's just say I'm not allowed to use it for that purpose, and I'm only allowed to use it for, like, the normal purpose. Even then, I can still teleport all over the place, use the sword... I don't know. I can just use the sword. But really, there's another problem, too, for Red Flash. For one thing, his little shockwave abilities, his little Powerball stuff, and his shields are all kind of... I just ignore them because my character has immunity to energy attacks and defenses and stuff. So his shield doesn't work on me. His power attacks don't work on me. Essentially, the only cool attack he can really use on me is his swords, and they really aren't going to have an effect on me if I can move so quickly that I can just take them all down. And then on top of that, my character already is reducing half of all damage that comes in just in phase 1. So he's literally only doing half of the damage so Red Flash is only doing half the damage he could be doing, which is kind of bad for Red Flash. And then on top of that, I've got my own shockwaves, plus I can double my own stats, which means that which means I would automatically have twice the stats. Factor in the shockwave, which doubles those stats, plus producing a shockwave, and I could hit him with a punch that is 4 times stronger than his own punches. Unless he puts in his own shockwave punch. If he puts in his own shockwave punch, then, well, mine would come out stronger. It'd be twice as strong. Plus, it would win anyways because my shockwave just has immunity to his, so it just kind of overpowers it. Yeah, it's incredibly unfair. Yeah, you can already tell it's very unfair. We don't even need to go into phase 2, but yeah, Red Flash obviously becomes really powerful in this phase 2. He's got probably more strength, more power in his abilities. But one really interesting thing about it, I saw him use that crazy laser thing. So yeah, you see Red Flash use some pretty crazy abilities, and he's only in phase 2. This guy, we see him use phase 3 and phase 4, plus some crazy, wizardry that makes him immune to damage. And that really, I think we're going to get into that more. So, phase 2 versus my phase 2. Well, it's pretty much just the same situation, but worse. So I gain energy shields and energy spikes. The problem is, they are only immune to physical attacks. Meaning he can use any energy-based ability to break these. AKA, they're pretty much worthless, and I probably won't even use them unless I'm desperate and trying to block some sort of attack that he's done. But all he has to do... Oh my word. Stupid notifications, be quiet. All I have to do is... Actually, all he has to do to break through my shields is charge up his little sword thing. Is a charge up his sword attack, and it'll just shatter through it. Because that's just how my abilities work. They're kind of like rigid. It's kind of like quantum mechanics. It's just like it doesn't work until you cross the threshold and it just automatically all works at once. And then, of course, you have the problem of my character literally having twice the strength physically over this guy. Well, that's not... I mean, technically, even though he's actually like way older than me in real life... My animated character is supposed to be at the... Well, he doesn't age past the prime age, so this guy... Both of us are more or less in our prime. So but because of the stats and stuff, I have twice this guy's physical capabilities. So he's really kind of cooked. You can't really outmatch me in this phase. Not to mention, I've got a scythe, which probably has longer attack range than even his great sword. Not to mention, I can also unleash energy slashes, which are really hard for him to block, even with that giant greatsword. And then, of course, I can just charge up an energy slash and just straight up obliterate him. Or I could use my little Riptide ability with that thing and just completely obliterate him with this. All in all, the fight is so blatantly unfair in Phase 2 that it's actually worse than it was in Phase 1. Because if I actually did use the teleport abilities, it's actually harder for me to get in a good hit because of the bigger weapon. That's the only real saving grace. That's the only weakness. Okay, that didn't go with what I was saying, but that's the only real drawback. Then okay, so we're gonna go to Phase 3. We could go ahead and talk about that crazy wizardry stuff the guy did, but I'm gonna save that for Phase 4 because we want this guy to be as strong as possible when we let him go all out. So Phase 3, this guy we get to see him do some cool things. He gets to summon these cool blade thingy-majiggers. We only see Red Flash go into Phase 3 one time, and this is like all he does the whole time. To be honest, he didn't really need... I mean, he probably should have used way more power, because then actually he probably would have beaten Turtle if he had just kept his distance, because Turtleblade can't keep up with that, man, if he's flying. Like, what's Turtleblade supposed to do? I mean, maybe his, like, I don't know, what his crazy thing... His little... I don't know, whatever that other form Turtleblade has. Maybe that'll be able to fly. I think he can fly with that. So maybe they would be more or less on an even match. I don't know, it doesn't matter, that's not what we're talking about today. All we see from him, really, is just some of the same, and only, like, one cool new reveal that really did not help him at all, almost. He would have been better off using individual swords. But, nevertheless, it ain't gonna change much, because he just probably gained some stat increases. My character, on the other hand, not only gains stat increases, and stays twice as strong, fast, and has twice the stamina of him. But on top of that, did I mention that in Phase 2 I had like 25, intake 25% of damage? Well, now in Phase 3 I only take in 12.5% of damage. So it's getting even harder for Red Flash to hurt me progressively as this duel goes on and stuff. Then on top of that, I'm wielding a absolutely massive battle axe that has more range than this guy's greatsword. And on top of that, I'm also able to do that crazy orbit ability. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot about that one thing. So actually, now that I mentioned it, actually I don't have a range advantage in the scythe or the axe. They actually have about the same, maybe even less. So maybe I don't have that advantage. But now I'm able to do the orbit ability in Phase 3, and on top of that, I'm also able to literally hurl it at him with a shockwave, just like that old trident. Except now, the weapon has zero risk of getting destroyed. All in all, the fight becomes way more unbalanced. I now have maxed out my shockwave ability. It goes from multiplying the punch power from double to a 4 times stronger hit force, plus a absolutely titanic shockwave. Then on top of that, my character has shields that are level 2, shields and energy spikes that only the strongest of attacks can break. You have to be using like your strongest ability. Even if your strongest ability is weak, it just works because, I don't know, I guess my world's kind of based on code and stuff, so this is how things work. So the shields do break if you use your strongest ability. And so far, the strongest ability I've seen from Red Flash was that crazy laser. So if he uses that, yeah, those things are cooked. But on top of that, I now have a speed ability, which doubles my speed. Allows me to move around in cool little burst things. All in all, I am way faster, stronger, and more capable than Red Flash in Phase 3. Because simply, my phases stack up on power way quicker. And the funny thing is, even with all this additional power, my character still is definitely not the strongest quite yet. Now, Phase 4. This is almost where Red Flash is going to cap out. My character is still a long way from capping out. And he is still a fair way from capping out of his, tapping into all of his power, even without some extra stuff that comes later. But for all transferable universe things without, other special things, I don't know, I'll talk about it later. my character caps out at phase 6 for for most purposes. Anyway, but we're talking about phase 4. So Red Flash just pretty much has the same things, but just more powerful, except we don't even see him really use any more power. He just gets cool eyes. You don't really get to see any more visuals of him being stronger, more resilient, really anything. It's like he's trying harder. It even looks like he's trying harder, but it's like Red Flash just wasn't a capable enough warrior to really use the advantages that Phase 4 could have come with. My character is but of course my character has lived for over a millennia and has memories of that stuff, so of course my character has by far more experience than this 20-year-old. So of course my character is going to be able to wield his abilities way more easily. In fact, at those levels of experience, I probably ought to be able to toy with Red Flash even if I was in Phase 1 the whole time. Because with that kind of battle experience and just like all the experience and stuff, it's kind of crazy. And now that I think of it, it's like massively unfair. Now we're going to just temporarily ignore the absurd levels of battle experience and talk about some other crazy stats. Okay, so another crazy stat. My character is only taking like 6.25% of damage. That is an insane amount of resistance, and it makes it where Red Flash can hardly even hurt me, and it's just crazy. Some blows would still kill my character, but my character's at this point has got like speed, has got the second level of speed, and it triples the speed level, and then I've got literally unbreakable shields and energy spikes, which well, they aren't technically unbreakable, but for literally like almost anyone, there's a special condition. But Red Flash does not have it. Like, he cannot break the shields, no matter how hard he tries. No matter what he does, they are literally unbreakable. And, yeah. Realistically, by this time, Red Flash should already be dead. And then on top of the other things you have... Okay, as I was saying, I can summon both a smaller axe and a shield to protect myself. And then on top of those things, I can summon lasers, all this crazy stuff. I don't know, Phase 4 is just, like, it's just piling even more rocks onto this already massively unfair scale. Then, now let's give Red Flash a little bit of an advantage here. Let's give him that crazy ability. He's immune to damage. Now, one thing I do want to point out, one error that this other guy, Keanu, made. I mean, I guess it's not... I mean, if you want it to work like that in your universe, you're perfectly within your rights to make it work like that in your universe. But I noticed, yeah, he did not take any damage from all the times that he got hurt. Red Flash does not take damage during this period. The damage is completely negated. He could get a fatal blow, and he takes nothing from it. And it appears that this black ability, or whatever it is, not only negates the damage, but essentially it's based more or less on stamina. It might be where it orbs a certain amount of damage, or just a certain amount of time. I don't know quite how that works. But either way, it seems like a trump card. With Red Flash using this and Phase 4 against my Phase 4, would it change the tide of battle? Well, no. The thing is, my character has so many different abilities, is so much faster, and has so much more experience, I would easily be able to figure out quite quickly that he's immune to damage, and simply wait it out. I could literally straight up just trap him in a box at this point in the phases, and then when the cooldown's over, just straight up kill him with energy spikes. That's just how unfair this fight is. I don't even need to fight him. I can kill him like I'm farming him in Minecraft. That's how absurd this is. So all in all, is Sam versus Red Flash close? Nope. It's not even close. It wasn't even that close from the beginning. Well, depending on how far in the beginning you start. And it gets even worse. It gets progressively worse the further into our powers you go. So yes, my character would beat Red Flash by a absolutely massive long shot. Okay, if you enjoyed this incredibly nerdy and stupid rant on Red Flash versus my character, then please do subscribe. I intend to make goofy videos comparing my character to different characters and seeing who would win, or maybe even comparing characters to other characters and in a different style than all those shorts. Because let's be honest, you can say someone takes things because of experience or other certain stats, but there are just some things that just make you way more powerful that you really can't, like, you can't just like list like some things. A lot of times the short style of deciding who's stronger works, but there are just some cases where that really isn't the case and they get it really wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna probably try to shed a little bit more light on a subject that no one cares about. So, but if you are a nerd and you actually care about this, do subscribe and do try to keep up with this. I intend to upload a video like this every week. The next installment will probably be my character versus Blue Thunder, and we're gonna see just how much worse that is. Okay, later.